Natasha, I am going to start a little bit differently than I've started with any of my guests, and I hope you're okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
going to read your bio because your bio reads like a movie. So I think this is the perfect way to start. So
So,
Natajia Miller lived in the fast lane of entrepreneurship, building a luxury travel brand, scaling a family business, and chasing the kind of success that so many dream of. She did everything right: an MBA in international business, years of experience in tourism and hospitality, and a relentless work ethic that turned Embrace Resort into a sought after retreat destination in the Bahamas. But somewhere along the way, she realized she was running on empty. The long hours, the constant decision making, the never ending to do lists. Success came at a cost. Like so many entrepreneurs, she was caught in the cycle of doing everything, but never truly being present. That's when she made a shift. Instead of just building a business, she started building a life she didn't need a vacation from. She leaned into intentional living, self care, and balance, not just as buzzwords, but as non negotiables. Today, she curates luxury retreats at Embrace Resorts designed for high achievers, entrepreneurs, and executives who, like her, need more than just another trip. They need a true reset. I mean, oh my gosh, amazing. Amazing, amazing, amazing. So,
thank
lots
you.
to talk about. And you have built this thriving luxury brand and scaled a family business. And when was the moment maybe that you realized success, sort of as you knew it or how it was defined, wasn't enough?
Good question. I think, and I know that we're starting off higher. So I really think that because all of the accolades, everything that you said, I was like, okay, great. We're more profiting more. We have more things in place, all these types of stuff. And I had a literal nervous breakdown at my desk. So usually I save those for after hours, the bull crying at the computer. But there was a day where like 10 o'clock in the morning, days just starting. I was literally in here and like a guest came, they were checking in, did their check-in. Okay, have a great stay with us. Closed the door and boo-hoo cried. And like just overwhelmed and just thinking about, okay, Natasha, look at the list of things you have to do because your to-do list gives you anxiety sometimes. So in that moment, I realized that what was profits are not success. If it's at the expense of you having to pull yourself together because just as you're in the middle of boo-hoo cry session two, somebody walks in and wants, a rash guard from the gift shop and you're like, oh, okay, you know what I mean? So that showed me that what people would say is success is usually based on monetary value, how much you have, how many accolades you have. But if you have that and you don't have um peace and you don't have a feeling of like fulfillment that's outside of the thing, that's when I realized I needed to shift my life because I do want to do well because I love philanthropy and I love being able to give back. But if I pour from an empty cup, it's not serving anybody really. So that's when my focus really shifted.
And then how did you go about redefining that success for yourself?
So I think that moment helped me to realize what success is not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went on a journey listening to podcasts. I watched a lot of YouTube stuff, a lot of inspirational stuff. And in addition to that, I had to spend time with myself, which is another thing that busy entrepreneurs sometimes don't do is spend time with yourself. You spend time with your kids, spend time with your spouse, you spend time with your friends, you spend time in your business much more than you should. Don't ask me how I know. But how much time do you really spend time with Megan? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? How much time do you really spend with sitting with you and saying, okay, this is a life I have and everybody is telling me it's great, but is it really great? So I had to have time with Tasia and Tasia loved to travel. So
Hmm.
Tasia took Tasia on a trip and when I went, I go to Dubai a lot because I live there, right? So it's kind of like a second home to me. So I
Hmm.
went to Dubai and I did not go on any camel. I didn't go to the desert one time. I literally like stayed in my room and went to this really pretty garden that I like to go to. And I just sat with myself and asked myself, what would success look like for Tasia? I know what my parents think success is. I know what the community that I'm in tells me that success is, but what would bring me joy? What would make me wake up and have a life that I want to live? And I realized that seeing what was missing helped me to made that easy. If I had asked myself that before my boohoo cry X large experience, I wouldn't have understood how important peace is to me. I wouldn't have understood how important but not but financial freedom is important because it helps you to get freedom of time. So time freedom is extremely important to me right now because it's something that I'm lacking. So long answer to your short question.
Yeah. No, well, it's a big question, a short question, but a big question. And one of the things that I've found, and I know I've struggled with, is when you're going down that path and you're redefining success or just redefining things for yourself, being alone and quiet with yourself can be hard. Did you find it at all to just be alone with your own thoughts? And then how did you maybe negotiate that or manage that?
Yeah. So several things. So being alone with my own thoughts. First thing it did was help me to realize that my own, well, not that this wasn't the moment that I realized it, but it helped because I realized that my own thoughts are not my own thoughts. When did you realize that, Tasia? Thank you for asking, Megan. I realized that when I went to, I was in this like sisterhood group and we were talking about our vision and our mission, right? So all of the ladies are, going to talk about their vision and mission. And Natasia's vision and mission was the vision and mission of Embrace Resort. And the person that was the facilitator was like, that's cute, but what about you? Like, what do you want? And what is
Yeah.
your? And I was like, oh, me as a human being and not as a boss of a company. Okay, I don't know then.
Right.
So I went, and my mind went back to that, and it's really hard to sit with yourself because you have to face the person that's not the person that people think you are. So when I have to sit with myself, I'm not Natajia, family is so proud Natajia. I'm not like award-winning Natajia. I'm not MBA Natajia. I am just me. And I had to ask myself if I'm okay with that. If I never got a master's degree, if I never went to college in my life, would I be okay? If I never worked abroad, would I be okay? If Embrace Resort wasn't like a luxury property, would I be okay? So that was really hard to have to really face yourself. And it's just really hard because when you're so used to being go, 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 to-do list, to-do list, to-do list, when you actually have to spend time at space, it's really also hard to not say, but what time is that guest checking in? But did I book the flight for this one? Oh, wait,
Right.
my airport transfer? So all of that made it difficult, but I think that the hardest part was taking down the barrier that sometimes we don't create, Megan. Like I didn't tell people I'm great. I didn't
Right.
tell people look up to me. I didn't tell people I'm a mentor or, whatever the case is. But I had to look at myself outside of what the pedestal people put me on. And that was hard.
Yeah. It reminds me, I just had a conversation with Richard Talaferro, who was, an award-winning journalist at the Wall Street Journal. Same thing, accolades, achievement academically in his career. And now he helps people actually shift out mid-career. And one of the things that he said that was so powerful and so true, it's similarly to you. I was like, well, I'm a mom and I'm a fundraiser and it was like, no, that's what you do. You're not those things. That's what you do. That's an aspect of you, but who are you? And it's nice that you were able to get away to a favorite place and to kind of physically have that space to get away to do that. And then was there any resistance as really redefined who you were, rediscovered who you were to coming back? Because it's not like you were like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going off to skydive or whatever. Like, was it hard to reclaim who you were in the space that you were before?
Was and still is, right?
Mm.
Because it's a balancing act. Because Megan, the fundraiser, and Megan, the mom, are both amazing people.
Mhm.
But Megan, that sometimes Megan, the human, sometimes you have to choose.
Mhm.
I mean, that sounds really, really harsh, especially the mom part. But sometimes you have to choose if you are Megan, the fundraiser today, or Megan, the
Mhm.
human.
Yep.
And today, I am still trying to figure that out, right? Because I am very accustomed to being at work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I am very accustomed to coming in on my off day because I have to finish a proposal for a retreat. I'm very accustomed to that. So, Natajia, I don't know, pre-crying Natajia. I'm going to say pre-XL because that's just how I remember. Pre-XL Natajia. She was told, she was like so doing it so often that it became second nature to stay at work to work 12-hour shifts. You know what I mean?
Right.
So now that I have been enlightened to the fact that, hey, Natajia, you're not doing yourself a service by overworking. You're actually doing yourself a disservice. So unless you want another boohoo cry XL t-shirt moment, like you need to slow down. So I have to battle with that because it's like, but it's always a but, right? But the person, I told the person I'll have it on Sunday and it's already Saturday.
Yeah.
But if I don't send this, maybe they won't get the proposal. Maybe they'll choose another resort. But then it's me choosing Natajia's mental health or embrace resorts financial.
Mhm.
And it's a balancing act. I cannot choose to, not work overtime ever in my life in this certain point and miss out on all of the opportunities that, could be missed if I decided to do that. But I also can't work myself to the bone
Yeah.
trying to get proposals. So, and today I'm balancing that, but I'm really happy to say that the more we actively work on it, because it's basically a fight between you and you, right? So it's like you have to train your brain, train yourself, just in the same way that I've trained myself. Natajia, work hard. Natajia, you got to do it. Natajia, just put in the hours. Natajia, you got to. I now have to untrain and retrain myself to say, Natajia, it's okay. You're tired.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's calling. I'm sure, like, working at philanthropy, I'm sure it's like, I'm so tired, but my sister is calling and I know she wants to talk for 3 hours because I know she's going through
Right.
something. And I want to be there for that 3 hours for her because she's my sister and I love her. But at the same time, I had a really draining day and I don't have the energy to be a shoulder. And that's okay. And that's hard for me too. Outside of the resort and all the things that entails, I am also a sister, a cousin, a best friend.
Yeah.
So understanding too that people who really love and care about you understand that you can't answer their call at all times. My best friend just called me and I literally was like, Natajia, you love them, but this is going to be a 2-hour call. So you're
Right.
definitely going to be here an extra 2 hours at
Mhm.
work because you already have really strict deadlines. And I'm talking about this happened like 3 hours ago. So it's still a balancing act
Yeah.
to make a long story short.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it's funny because sometimes, like one of my friends, I'll say like, "Hey, I actually have 20 minutes. So if this is more than 20 minutes, like I do want to hear from you, but like this is what I got." Um,
Is that
and
hard?
it's hard, but at the same time, I think it's better because I know that like if you need that 20 minutes, I can be fully present because sometimes you really need that moment. And other times it's like, oh no, I'm bored. So I called you, kind of thing. So what are some things that you're enacting in your daily life to help you not go back into that burnout stage that you were in?
Yeah, you answered my question. It's boundaries.
Yeah.
Like, that has been the number one thing. Boundaries for some, boundaries for others. Because boundaries for self is saying that pre-XL Natajia is like, but that's your best friend, Natajia. What type of person are you? Suppose they needed you, and you feel guilty because
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like maybe they need something urgent. Maybe they need a shoulder to cry on. Isn't that what a best friend is supposed to do? So that little minion is on the left side telling you, like, if you don't do this, you're a bad person. If you
Right.
don't do this, you don't truly love them. If you don't do this, you shouldn't be their best friend. You
Right.
shouldn't be able to call them that. So that's the internal battle. And then the external, the one with other people is that knowing that you have put yourself in a position where people already have an idea of you as a person that I can always call on, or a
Mhm.
person that, no matter what time of day, and that's not their fault because we have been that person, right? We have been sure, I know it's 2 a.m. and I know I have work in a few hours and I know I haven't slept last night either, but I love you. So
Mhm.
please tell me what's going on, right?
Right.
So it's doing that for a decade and then telling that same person that you've been doing that with for a decade, I don't have the mental capacity right now. And that sounds really, really harsh.
Mhm.
But just saying, like, because when people call me, they just start, right? It's not hi, how you're doing. They just like, hello? What? Because
Right.
that's what I have trained them to be okay with. And I will stay
Right.
on the phone with you and talk with you or pray with you or do whatever it is that you need to feel better for hours and not be able to sleep that night because I'm so busy being an empath and going in my mind like, oh my God, what happened to her? So now, oh, and another thing that I did, so this baby right here called a phone,
Uh-huh.
like I was so attached to this thing like morning, noon, and night. And I always had my ringer on. And it's so funny because one of my team members was just talking to me like, why don't you ever have your phone off silent? And the reason for that is it gave me anxiety
Yeah.
because when I have already six meetings that are an hour each in a day, and I still have to run my team, and I still have to create schedules, and I still have to do proposals, and I still have to make sure that the retreats are currently on property are going well. When this phone rings, it just feels like, oh, because, in my mind, it's like, well, not even in my mind, for entrepreneurs, for some entrepreneurs, let me speak for myself.
Yeah.
If your phone rings 50 times a day, 48 of those calls are somebody wanting a piece of you, whether that's checking checking availability, whether that's I need a team member. Like it's usually somebody needs you for something. So when I'm already overwhelmed with my to-do list, and then I hear the phone keep going off, it gave me anxiety. So I put it on silent all the time. Do I lose my phone sometimes? Yes, but I don't lose my mind anymore.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm like shaking my head like, oh my gosh, yes, I have an Apple Watch, which I really like. And what I started to realize, like personally, I like it, but professionally, I had to ignore the buzzing on my arm. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, you're still getting distracted. And yeah, so like now I can like kind of keep track in a meeting, but I'm not paying attention to the meeting. And it's just like, what am I doing? So it's nice that you were able to set that boundary. And as an entrepreneur and as someone who is running, you know, it's a business, it's a family business, which I think probably has some additional responsibility along with it. And you're managing teams and you're thinking about the future and you're running the day to day and all of it. How well, I guess 2 questions. One, is that something that you just came into, like, gradually more and more responsibility came to you and that's, or was it like, got my MBA, worked in these other places, and then came back and it's like all at once? How what was the genesis of that?
Oh, you're gonna love this story,
I
Megan.
can't wait.
I worked Taipei. I worked in Dubai and I worked in China, right? So when I was in China, I was in a contract for a year and a half, and my contract ended. And my mom called at the same time because I'm second generation owner, so my mom is the one who started it, like bootstrapped the whole thing. So she calls because she's the one who paid for my MBA. She's the one who's been supporting all my life until I became an adult.
Mhm.
And she calls and she's like, Natajia, I'm burned out. I don't have anything left in me. And I really need you to come home. And she has never said that to me before. She had always been, which is why I could go to Dubai and everything else. She's always
Mhm.
been the person that was like, I don't care if you want to be a janitress. I don't care if you want to be a janitress or an astronaut, like I'm down for you, whatever you want to do. So to hear her say that she needed me to come, like it really pulled me in that direction. But at the same time, Megan, the resort that I was working at, a Hyatt resort. So the resort I worked at in China was like, Natasha, you're so great. I want to give you a double salary.
Wow.
And we want to upgrade your room to a suite. You want more benefits? You tell us what you want us to offer you. So I'm like, the sweet life or my mama. You know what I mean? So in the end, I chose mom. And that was the end of 2018. So in 2019, COVID happened. So everything did happen at once because now hospitality in the Bahamas, COVID, like it's a lot to happen together for somebody
Yeah.
that's only been working in a resort for 6 months. So yeah, I had a very intense beginning. It wasn't like, oh, Natasha, you're gonna be in reservations tonight. Like I just took everything over, and mom has gradually been like less involved in the day-to-day operations.
Mhm. That's a
Yeah.
lot. And so how do you approach your day?
Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about healed Tasia, right?
Yes. Yes. Good habits, Tisha.
So that was it. Yes. So every morning I have started meditations and affirmations and prayer. So those are three things your girl does not miss any morning. Like prayer is important for me to set my day, like to know that because one of my issues is control, which is also it also helps to like add to the list of things because I feel like, oh, we have a 150-person wedding. I need to be there for this. Oh, this person is coming. I need to control it and make sure that it goes well. So having that prayer reminds me that, I believe in God. So he has it all together. So I don't have to keep on that burden of making sure that everything is perfect and I can relinquish control. And once I set my prayers out and this is what I want today, and you tell me what you want, I'm good. My affirmations, OMG. I was pre-Excel Natajia, like pre-healing Natajia was like, affirmations, like, how could this help? You know what I mean? Like, all you're doing is saying a couple of words. Like, it
Right.
sounds so corny, but listen to me. It's about two things for me. It's about taking time for myself because I only do like 10, 15 minutes. But that is Natajia's 10 to 15 minutes.
Mhm.
Natajia's not checking her phone. Nobody can do anything else. Like, that's my time for me. And the positive affirmations, like one of my favorite ones is I am exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be. Because as a quote, quote, go-getter, I'm always feeling like maybe I should be doing this. Maybe that I should be doing that. Maybe I don't have enough rooms. Maybe I should be booking more retreats, things like that. So my affirmations help me to really ground myself and like speak life into my day.
Mhm.
So, and then meditation is just really taking time to like say, there's nothing happening right now. You don't have to do anything. There's no to-do list item. So just starting my day like that helps. Like when I don't do that, I'm a different person. My team would hate me. My team, a manager of the year when I do my affirmations and everything else. When I'm not, I'm Bothzilla.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, like, speaking life into your day. I love that. That's amazing. Now, you spend time in Dubai, which you love, and in China. How has that experience living internationally impacted you, and how do you bring it into your day-to-day life?
Those questions, I love that. Because I love travel. Okay, I'm very, very, even before I moved to Dubai, I am very much a culture addict. I'm a travel addict, but more so a culture addict. So I don't just want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Mexico and I want to find out why yucca. Like, did this grow here?
Mhm.
So the reasons that I loved Dubai, the reason that I love Dubai is Dubai actually chose me. So to make a very long story of my life short, after I got my MBA, when you get your MBA as an international student, because I'm from the Bahamas, you get a year to work. So I worked that year for Sheraton. Sheraton loved me. We applied for my visa to be able to stay in the US, and it was denied because I was a front office agent. So immigration literally came back and was like, so Sheraton, you're telling me that in the 50 states of the United States of America, you cannot find anybody to work in the front office. Stop. So
Mhm.
I had to come home. So, me, depressed, boohoo. Oh my God, I really want to be outside of the Bahamas right now. So
Mhm.
I literally Googled places where Bahamians can get a working visa. And I applied to like 100 different places a day. And I just got the answer from Dubai. So that's the prelude of how I got to Dubai. So one of the things that I love about Dubai is the culture there. So I worked at a hotel that had like 1,500 employees, and we had about 67 different nationalities working there. So I had to show up at the front desk, and I have a Kenyan on my right, a Filipino on my left, and I'm checking in a Russian, and then I'm going to lunch with a Ukrainian, like, and then the person from Germany is inviting me home. So like I have traveled so much in Dubai, and it's not like, oh, I'm going to Munich. Let me go check TripAdvisor. It's like, no, I'm going to Munich with my friend. So
Right.
I'm definitely going to be eating her mom's German food. So love that experience, and that helped to shape me because it made me so much more open.
Mhm.
Like, I'm sorry, I have a very quick story. I have so many stories
Please.
about Dubai, but this one is important,
Good.
and it's so I have like there's a lot of Asians working in Dubai, right? So I have an Indian friend, and he and I were talking, and he was like, "Oh, your mom and your dad, da 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 da. Like, how long have they been married?" And I'm like, "They're not." And he was like appalled, like, "Your parents aren't married and they had a baby. How did that happen?" Etc. etc. And the funny thing about it is, this is after he told me that his dad has three wives, and I was like, "Your dad has three wives? How?" So now it's just like, not who's wrong, right?
Right.
If the person that had a baby out of wedlock wrong is the guy whose dad has three kids, like, so it really helped me to see that, you know, people are like, people in the Bahamas are like, oh my God, French people eat frog legs. Ew, they eat snails. Ew. And we eat like pig feet and chicken
Yeah.
feet. So how many cultures are like,
Right.
what? The
Right.
foot of a pig. So yeah, so that's something that I learned in Dubai, and it just helped me to be so much more open and so much less judgmental
Hmm.
because everybody has their own culture, which is like national culture as well as the culture of your home, the way you grew up, like parent. It's so there are so many factors that shape who a person is, and
Hmm.
it's not up to me to say what's right or what's wrong, right? So that's one thing, and then the second thing is, which I love, is like when you work in Dubai, there is no way that you, especially in hospitality, specifically in hospitality, there's no way you come back without a sense of five-star service. Like Dubai is the only place in the world with a seven-star hotel, you know? So I worked in a very, very luxury, like celebrities stay there type of hotel. If I worked at one of those in the Bahamas, I would have a certain level of appreciation for the guest experience. Working at one of those hotels in Dubai multiplies that by a bazillion because there is a standard for service that is so high. And being open to that for years, and also being able to excel there. I was actually one of my accolades. I was the receptionist of the year in Dubai, and that is like all of the hotels in Dubai. They send one person from their hotel to represent them, and I was in the finalists. So,
That's
so
amazing.
say thank you, and
Yeah.
saying that to say not that I'm amazing and I'm great, but saying that to say that is a level of service that I was able to bring to Embrace Resort.
Yeah.
So when I first came back, my team hated me because I'm just like, oh, if the guest is coming at 9:30, I'll head over at 9:20 to pick them up. No, you're heading over at 9:15 because suppose the flight's early. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's like the little details of service. Like, Megan is coming. Megan's on vacation, but also Megan has her anniversary. Why don't we get this ahead of time? Megan is going to be celebrating. Why don't we celebrate with Megan? You know,
Mm.
so all of that type of stuff. And then just creating connection because a lot of hotels, even the five-star ones that I've seen and been to, it's like, oh, Megan, thank you for checking into our hotel.
Mhm.
Okay, here's your keys. Have a great day. But it's not like, Megan, oh my God, I saw it's your anniversary. How
Yeah.
many years? How did that? So that's kind of the embrace vibe. And that comes from Bahamian hospitality, but it also comes from understanding from a Dubai experience that hospitality is a deeper connection. You know what I mean? I've been on a lot of vacations. I've traveled a lot to know that getting your key and getting into a clean room is, it's the standard.
Sure.
But being able to say, oh my God, I went to the Bahamas, I met Natajia, both of our sons' name is John, and
Mhm.
she got me this really nice cake for my anniversary. She remembered that I told her on the phone that my favorite color is green. Like all of that stuff is what makes a vacation a memorable experience and not just a getaway, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I love, I don't know who I took this from. I didn't come up with it, but this idea of surprise and delight. Like, I love the surprise and delight when like you said, it's my anniversary and I show up in the room and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a card and a little champagne bottle and, whatever it is. Um, and it doesn't take that much. And for me personally, I think it's more fun, right? Like it's helping you to build that relationship. So I love that. But a question about Dubai. Where did the level of excellence come from? Like how is that cultural and they brought it to the hospitality industry, or do you know like where that standard started?
That's a great question. And I think that this is not, I did not read the history books and I did not ask the Sheikh himself. But knowing what I know of Dubai, Dubai is a Dubai is a city in the UAE that is
Mhm.
similar to Dubai. So if you go to Abu Dhabi and Fujairah, they have very similar feelings. But Dubai is like, the one that is the most like, I want to be the best. Dubai, the Sheikh of Dubai and the culture in Dubai is not that I'm going to make a tall building. What's the tallest building? Great. I need to be like 6 feet above that. Oh, what's the biggest indoor amusement park? Great. Let's double that. Nobody has an indoor aquarium in a mall. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. They're not looking to do something that they want to be the best or the first.
Right.
That is Dubai's thing. And then, so with that type of standard, you can't be the first 7-star hotel in the world and then you have substandard team members because the experience that the guest has is not the gold in the coffee. It's who's pouring the coffee and how they bring it and how they present it to you. You can have gold in your coffee all day, but with horrible service, it just doesn't match up. So I think
Yeah.
that that's where it all started. But I'll ask the Sheikh next time I see him and get
Thank
back to you on
you.
that one for sure.
Thank you. Give the shake my regards. But and do you
I
do
will.
you feel like how was that standard set in terms of the team? Like, you worked with, you said 15, was it 1,500 employees? That's a lot,
Mhm.
right? And I think about this a lot with Disney, right? And like cast members and Disney magic and that whole, like, I'm obsessed with the operations of Disney. And some people might call it a cult. But like, what is, I guess what I'm curious about is I feel like it's relatively easier with a smaller team. If you're working with 5, 10 colleagues to be able to keep that culture going. How did you see that culture spread out among so many people? And then how do you bring that with your team? Like if someone is like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like how do you work with that individual to get them into the culture that you're trying to bring?
So this is going to be like polar, not polar opposites, but they're going to be very different answers because, like you said, they're a team of 1,500 and I'm a team of not even 15, right? I have
Right.
13 people, or 13 partners. We call ourselves partners. We're not,
That.
we have no employees here. But being in Dubai, it's funny you should ask me that question because I actually worked in HR for half the time I was there. So what somebody told me actually recently is you hire fast, hire slow and fire fast.
Mm.
And in our hotel specifically, that was definitely the mantra is that we don't just like, especially frontline associates, like your front office agent or your waitress or anybody that's, in leadership. You're not going to just be like, oh, they're pretty. Let's bring them in. Like there's like 3, 4 rounds of interviews and each round is like, with a different person. So it's not like, oh, well, I had a great connection with Megan, but can you have also a great connection with a man from India? Can you have a great connection with somebody from the LGBTQ community? Like, is this, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there was a lot of interviews, which helped you to really be able to understand the behavior of people because you can be the best artist ever and you can create great art, but that doesn't mean that you're suitable to work in a gallery where you
Mhm.
have to tell a story to people. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is there's always ongoing training. You have to train and train often because the more that you train, the more it shows the people that you're training that this is important. Thirdly, and well, that one is actually I'm gonna save that one for me.
Okay.
Thirdly, I would say for the Dubai thing is like you're constantly checking, you're constantly keeping people accountable.
Mhm.
And if you have a conversation with them once, twice, thrice about an experience that can impact the guest, I don't care if that's your best friend. I don't care if y'all, knew each other for 50 years. You have to think of the brand and say, hey, you know what? This person is just not on brand. So that was a word that was very common to say in Dubai, like they're not on brand.
Mhm.
Um, so that's Dubai. Moving to Embrace Resort, I used some of Dubai's thing and I have, so I have two, the same way there's pre-Natajia and post-Natajia, there's
Mhm.
pre-Natajia in this area and post-Natajia too. So one of the reasons that I was burned out before is because I was the only one, quote, quote, carrying the vision, right? I am telling people this is what I want. I'm telling people, this is how it is. And if you do this, and everything will be so great. We want the guests to have a great experience. And don't you want to go on vacation? And people do this for you and all the things. So I'm like puking this at them on a regular basis. And it was not translating. So what happened is I'm not going to show up for work today because I just don't feel like hearing that stuff. I'm going to call in sick and go to a party. So I had a really toxic culture.
Mm.
And I am the person that said, oh, but she's my cousin. Oh, but I knew that for years. Oh, but she has a baby that's just born. So I'm not going to let them go. After I realized the impact, not only on the guest experience, but on their team members experience, then I started to be like, you know what? I have to let the bad apples go. I started reading lots of leadership books and all the things to really try to make me better so that I can make them better. So we had an entire culture shift over the last year where I started by not being what Natajia wants, because again, I'm a control freak. So I'm like, oh, this is how you get the metrics. These are the KPIs we should be going for.
Right.
So I changed that to, hey guys, what is important for you? Let me hear about you. Why are you here? Why did you take the job? So we last year in October, we had a retreat, a team retreat, and it wasn't like anything we did before. You had a retreat before, but it was like, let's have fun together, guys. Yay! But this
Right.
one was like, you guys are no longer team members because I never call them staff or employees since I got here because it's 10 of us running an entire resort, 13 of us now. So you're much more than just an employee. If you decide you're not going to clean a room today, guess what? Like everything, I don't care how great my check-in is. I need you, you
Right.
know? So in this retreat, we talked about what we wanted to see for the future. So it's not Natajia saying what our focuses are, or Natajia saying these are our KPIs. The team saying, well, you know what, this is a great idea for revenue. This is a great idea for this. And also training them up in areas that they want to, like, again, literally today. Today was the last day of our photography training because people are interested in photography. So we were like, you know what? Let's train you guys up instead of hiring an outside photographer. Train you guys up so you can make extra cash and you can do something that you love. And it's not me saying, you do it and you do it and you do it. It's me saying, does anybody want to do photography? Does anybody want to learn how to DJ? And so the third thing that I was going to say in the Dubai part, but I'll say for this because I can speak for Embrace. We take care of our team, and that doesn't mean we pay them well. I mean, that doesn't just mean
Right.
that means that I know when Dexy is sick. If somebody's parent dies, I ask them if they need some time off. We check on each other. And it's not just Natajia checks on the team, it's the team checks on each other. It's creating a culture where people like it's when it's people's birthday, it's a party.
Hmm.
Because in the same way we want our guests to feel special, we want our guests to feel important, we want our guests to feel a connection, we want that for each other too. We want everybody here to feel like they're part of a family. And based on this feedback, because I talk to them much more than I used to, because when I have like this long to-do list, I prioritize my to-do list over them. So now I'm in the process of switching that and prioritizing, checking on them, prioritizing, keeping people accountable. And then what I can get done today, I can get done today.
Yeah.
So yeah, so in a small team, I think that making sure that you care for, you cannot, and I'm telling you because I lived it, you cannot expect people to care about your company if you don't care about them. And not
Yep.
in a superficial way, in a real, like, Megan, are you okay? You don't look okay. Do you want to talk? Or if you don't want to talk to me, do you want to talk to somebody else? Do you need some time? Do you need an extra hour on your lunch break to sit with yourself? Like, what do you
Hmm.
need? That goes a long way because at the end of the day, one thing that I can say that every company in the world is hiring. Well, I don't know what's happening in AI, but so far we're all hiring humans as
Right.
far as I know. And humans come with emotions. Humans come with personalities and everything else. And we have to respect that if we want them to respect the work that we want them to put in. It's not like, oh, well, I'm paying them. Yeah, but they still have an entire life outside of this. And what you're asking of them is for them to do their best. And for them to do that, they should feel their best. And you could play a part in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a few things that came to mind. One of the phrases that I really like, and I don't, for someone who doesn't like to speak in platitudes, I love a good quote, but the quote of, you know, culture eats strategy for lunch. So you can have the most amazing business plan, but if the culture isn't in place, and I've worked in places where the culture sucked, um, and I've worked in places where the culture is amazing, and I work so hard in a place where I feel cared for and where I care about the work that we're doing and I care about my fellow employees. And you feel safe, right? There's that safety factor in it too, where you can say to your boss or to your colleague, like, hey, I'm not at 100% today, and know that you're also a safe space. So that's amazing that you've created this environment. And then Lee Cockerell, who was the EVP at Disney, he oversaw Disneyland Paris opening, and then he ran the like hotels for Disney World. I always say he's like my pretend grandpa because I always listen to him, like all business advice. And years ago, when I was a new manager, I listened to his podcast and he was like, you have to assume that everyone on your team is dealing with 5 things you know nothing about. And everybody's bringing that to work because they're human. And that was such a moment for me. And it wasn't that you reduce the standard, right? You don't reduce the standard, but you treat humans like humans. And I feel like we've lost that. I mean, I don't know. I can speak for well, I guess I can't speak for anything, but like in the United States, I feel like we're seeing a lot of that right now, where like a lot of workers' rights are being stripped and just things like there's no more holidays this year. And you're like, what? Like, what is happening? And how do you expect people to work and perform and create profits for the company when they're not being treated as a whole? So I don't know. I need someone who understands that more than I do, but I love that you're building the culture that you've built at Embrace and that you were able to mirror that from like 7-star 7-star service. You see how it can work, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. And I love that. I love both of the quotes you said, like understanding, like he said, your team members are going through 5 different things. So let me give you last story. I like
Yeah,
stories. I
no, go
have
for it.
them because I have been the culture sucks place. And now I'm trying to really lean into being the I love waking up and being here
Yeah.
place. And when I was in the culture sucks place, like I had a team member that like would like come late all the time. Like I'm not talking 5 minutes, I'm talking 25. And one day I was like, "Roar."
Right.
Like, how? Like, what's going on? Like, I need you to be here. I need you to be on time. Da 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 da. X X X X X. And she was just like, okay. And then, that was that conversation. So after enlightenment, Natajia,
Mhm.
it happened again, but this was like the first time. Because she's just like transformed. She went from, no, I won't do any overtime. And I'm clocking out at 3. I don't care if I'm in the middle of serving a guest. Like my time doesn't till 3.
Right.
And now she's like, do you need me to do inventory before I leave type of person. So she was late one day, and instead of raw, 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 I went and I said, hey, how are you today? I'm good. I just said you're a little late today. Is there anything that you need? Like da 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 da. And with that approach, she actually opened up and said, I'm taking care of my grandmother.
Mm.
I really don't talk about it a lot, but that sometimes I'm late because, she needs something and I can't leave because I'm the da da da. Da.
Mhm.
So with that, saying all of that to say it people, like you said, people are going through a million different things. And how would if I was in her shoes and my boss like, chewed me out after being late, um, versus a person that asked me why I'm late, in
Mhm.
a way that they actually care. And now, like, she never would text when she's coming late, so I just would find out like, oh wait, there's nobody there
Right.
to cover this shift. But now, like, she'll text me 2 hours in advance. Hey, I think I might be a little late today. I already asked, not can you ask? I've already asked my partner to cover for me. So is it okay that I'm just a few minutes late? That's that's what you'll get when you care.
Mhm.
Versus, oh wow, this department isn't open and it's been 29 minutes. And I
Right.
just realized it. Yeah.
Right. And it's
So yeah.
more solutions oriented, right? And like she's taking that ownership. That's amazing. Congratulations. I mean, that's a fantastic story to illustrate that. And you've gone through this you've had this experience, right? Where you've had the highest level of service, you have all the like, corporate stuff, entrepreneur stuff in your tools in your tool bag rather. And you've also had this transformation and understanding, I love like living a life that you don't need a vacation from. How have you used that to approach guests that are coming and to create retreats for people that are coming and sort of talk about maybe I don't know if there's one example that you'd like to give or like how you approach that because it seems like everything in your life up to this moment has prepared you for like this amazing experience for people to have with Embrace.
So thank you so much. And yeah, it's so funny, Megan. I feel like we know each other in a formal life
I
because
agree.
it's so funny that you should say that because yeah, it's a thing. Like I was sitting with myself because I actually do it now intentionally.
Mhm.
And Tasia were talking, and we were just like, do you realize that everything in your life has led you to this moment? Because again, I told you that one of my favorite affirmations that I do is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be. And the reason that it's important to me is because I struggle with it, right? Like,
Mhm.
am I supposed to be at Embrace? Because the people who have seen my accolades feel like I should be the CEO of, Hyatt, feel
Mhm.
like I should be in the US. I should be doing all these things. But I'm here at my mom's 7 villa boutique property. So they are making me feel like, is this big enough for you? You know
Right.
what I mean? So, and then I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. Like, oh my God, is this my purpose for life? Should there be a bigger person? Is this helping people? Is getting profits at a resort really helpful to like the greater good of the community that is the world? Or should I be doing something like, should I be speaking into people? So I struggle with that. And like, I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be like. So all of that to say that everything going to Dubai, getting not kicked out of the US, but basically not getting my ability to work in the US renewed. going through thousands of interviews before I got my Dubai interview, moving to China, like all of that had brought me home with exactly the tools, like you said, tools in my tool bag that I need. Being a horrible boss has helped me to realize what it's like to, even when I was in Dubai, like at one of the places I worked at, my boss would literally like, one day I had a really bad headache, called in and told them like, hey, I have this, like, this is a real headache. This is not a fake, like, I need an Advil headache. This is like a migraine and I'm not sure if I'm having an aneurysm. And he said, if you are not here, you're fired. So I like crawled into a taxi, crawled to work. And when I crawled to work, he gave me a final warning letter. Like, that's it. So having that experience also helped me to see the importance of empathy with people, you know? Did I implement it late? Yes, but I did.
Yeah.
So saying all that to say, when it comes to the retreats, right? We had our first one earlier this year in January, and one of my favorite stories is that I'm a part of an organization called the Bull Collective. So it's a bunch of Black women that own businesses, and one of them came to my first retreat, and she was skeptical because Staniel Key is not like, people have never heard that probably before they know what Staniel Key. They're like, how do you spell that? So in the same way, she was like, I'm not sure. People know about the capital. People know about Atlantis and Nassau and everything. But, this is a 1 by 2 mile, like very, very quaint island. So she was not gonna come. She was just like, well, but we met like from during our airport transfer to the Book Collective conference. And she said that when I sent the email, the personal invite, she remembered the conversation that we had in the bus. And she was like, you know what, let me try this girl out. So connection, you see the importance of connection. And she came and she's very quiet, very wallflowerish. And because the retreats are not 100 people. The maximum is like 15 to 20 people, and that's if Megan decides to bring her husband. Otherwise, it's just like 10 women. Like the one that we had was 8 people. So the level of vulnerability that you feel comfortable with 8 people versus 250. So people were talking about having multi-million-dollar companies and not feeling like enough. People were talking about, struggles in their marriage because they're the breadwinner. And she, in particular, was talking about she and her husband have a multi-million-dollar business, and she doesn't want to be a part of it. She feels like she's third wheeling. She feels like this is his dream, and she hates it. She literally hates going to work every day. And again, everybody's like, oh my God, you have a multi-million-dollar business, girl. Go for it. Da, da, da. We're so proud of you. But she's empty. And she's at the point where she doesn't know what she wants to do. So at the retreat, that was the first time she ever opened up and talked about that, about wanting to do something for herself, but not knowing what that something is. And it's not like in 4 days, she was like, Eureka, I know that I want to be like a beautician now. But it was that she was now open to, number one, having the conversation with her husband to say, babe, I love this. And I love that it brings our family wealth, but this is your baby. And I want to be able to find my own. Because she's the CEO of the company, which means everything falls on her shoulders. And there's nothing worse than running a company that you hate. So she was open to having that conversation with him. And she has also spent time with herself, because one of the things we do is like a beach meditation. So when we were at the beach, we created our own affirmations, and, she started to say them to herself. And she said in that moment, she finally felt the release to say, you know what, it's okay for me to follow a path that I want. I am a wife, and I am a mom, and I am all these things, but I shouldn't feel guilty for wanting something that I love to do, So, yeah, so I think that having this intimacy is one of the things that makes these retreats special, because you can go to a retreat with 20 people or 50 people or something like that. And that's not to say it will be transformational, but now we have a WhatsApp group and people check in on each other. Like because it's mostly entrepreneurs, right? So people are giving each other contacts. Like there was an eye doctor from the Bahamas and a person that owned a nursing company in the US, and they're exchanging like, oh, did you hear about this new AI thing? Oh, I know this person that works at this place. Oh, who's your supplier for this? Or just seeing that happen and continue to happen. I think that makes me feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be is right. Because I don't want to it's not I don't want to, but it is not very important to me to be like, oh my God, you have a million billion dollar business making 100% profits. I don't feel like that. That doesn't make me feel like, yay, Tasia. What makes me feel like, yay, Tasia is hearing a story of transformation that I had a hand in playing.
Yeah.
So these retreats mean a lot to me. It was like, it was very, because it's a first, this was our first year doing it. And again, going back to all of the insecurities when I was sitting with Tasia, it's like, I'm very used to being great at things, right? I'm used to being bestest,
Yep.
the brightest, the smartest, the intelligent one. Going into this new space of a retreat, and it's like the retreat is 3 weeks out and I have one person signed up. It reminded me like, girl, you ain't all that in the bag of chips, really. And it really humbled me, but it was also my first experience in a very long time because, like I said, the resort is doing well. Post
Yep.
COVID, like we were one of the few hotels in the Bahamas that survived. So it's like, pat yourself on the back and now this retreat is like, girl, you have 10 spots and you're 3 weeks out with one sign up.
Hmm.
So it's something that I am now like actively working on improving, but I love it. It's a new challenge for me. And like I said, seeing the results of it makes it so worth it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. And it was funny when you said, and you are all that in a bag of chips, right? Like you've done so much, you've achieved so much. And I think giving ourselves permission to not be good at something new when you have achieved and achieved and achieved, like, I think giving ourselves that permission is so freeing. And it's funny when I shared with you why I started the podcast, and I was so worried about it not being good. And I remembered back to one of my favorite podcasts that's very popular by like a very famous person, but the beginning episodes are not good. Like they're not great. And that gave me the inspiration of like, well, no one knows who you are anyway, so just like figure it out, and figuring out the retreat and what works. And like you've got 10 spots, you've got one person, you're gonna learn from how you grow it and what went wrong and what you can do differently. And um I think that's hard when you have gotten to the level that you've gotten to give yourself that permission of like, nope, it's all an education, right? It's all an
It's like a
education.
learning curve. It's like
Yeah.
it's like learning to fail forward. That's what somebody told me. Like, and it's not really a failure. Like, listen, Megan, your girl been back to boo cry data because I was like, hello, nobody wanted this. I brought these speakers here. They're gonna talk to my chair.
All right.
Why do they think that this is only for big hotels? Nobody wants to come. Like, and oh my God, the gremlins from my
Yep.
past, like, started to spiral. Like, why do you think this resort is good enough? Like, you're not good enough. The resort isn't good enough. People want to go to this type of place. They should go there. You're
Right.
not a 5-star property. Who do you think you are? Retreat. Stop. But it's so funny. At the retreat, I was being the control freak Natajia. So since it was the first one, I went to every single session
Sure.
to make sure that everything goes correctly. And you know what happened? I became a retreat attendee. So I attended every session and I ended up like sitting in that and it was so freeing for me.
Yeah.
It was so, I probably wouldn't have done another one without sitting in there because just hearing people say, oh my God, Natajia, I'm so glad I came. Oh my God, Natajia, this is so transformational. Like people crying and hugging me and stuff. If I didn't experience that, I would have said it was a failure because at the end of it, I think we had like 4 signups in the
Mhm.
very end. So I'm just like, oh, less
Right.
than 50%. So just hear the stories made me like reminded me that this is not about you. This is not about you. This is not about your pockets. This is an act of service
Yep.
for people that need to rest and unwind and everything else. So even if one person comes and that one person has a transformational experience, you did that thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that you're on a very small island within a smaller island. And your experience with living abroad and diversity and being able to work with so many different types of people. Like you said, it's just like everything in your life, you're in the right moment now, and everything in your life has led to that. And I just think that I don't know, that thought just popped in my head. I just love that. I think it's fantastic. And you talked about you pray and you believe in God. And has your spirituality also impacted, like when you said service, Like, how has that impacted your embrace and your work?
And impacts like everything. Do I think that the ethos of embrace, which is like really, really, really like not superficially. I have been in so many companies where we care about our team.
Right.
And you care about your team, but then like if somebody tells you they have a headache and you can say come in or die and give them a final so so being a person that believes in God, it helps you to that it shapes the way that you treat others, right? I would be like on a space rocket to hell if I am out here like, yes, everybody, we care about our people, and then like not treating people in the way that Christ would, right? So,
Mhm.
and we pray, the team prays together. And there's a saying, the family that prays together stays together. So like when we have meetings, we open in prayer. If we feel like the energy is off, we pray about it. If somebody is going through something and they're open to sharing, we pray about it, So that also creates a deeper bond because it's not just like, oh, we need housekeeping to clean their rooms. They cleaned it. Yay. It's like Delaney is going through something. Gabby is going through something. And if they want to share it, whether it's marriage related, family related, whatever it is, maybe they have an alcohol, whatever it is.
Mhm.
If they bring that to, if they feel comfortable and safe enough to bring that to the table, and they know that they have a community of partners that will pray with them,
Mhm.
I cannot. There is not enough like employee incentives in the world to create what that creates. And then it also impacts exactly what I said earlier. Like if I make $1 billion this year, I'm so happy. If I don't make $1 billion this year, I am so happy.
Yeah.
Once I have enough to be able to pour into the world, like of course, nobody wants a struggling company.
Mhm.
I always say this, and this is very Bible based. And my one of my favorite things is saying that favor is better than money, you know? So if I don't have money, and it happens all the time. So we are very blessed in that. For example, there's another, everything that I'm telling you, like not everything, but a lot of the things that I'm telling when I say this is recent, this literally happened yesterday.
Yeah.
So we're a hotel and there's another hotel on the island, and we were putting up signage and they felt like it was too close to their hotel, right? So they called me into a meeting. We talked about it, and I said, again, not pushed by, but led by the spirit and my Christianity. I'm not going to fight over a sign. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Do I want my sign at this particular place on the street? Yes. Am I going to stand in the road? It's a sign. You know what I
Right.
mean? At the end of the day, who's coming to my resort is coming to my resort.
Right.
So I said, you know what? It's fine. Don't worry about it. And they were like, literally, they texted me today, like they were taken aback at how okay I was with it because I had already put the poles in the ground. Like I've already paid somebody, the cement is already in there. They
Wow.
literally have to jackhammer the sign up now.
Wow.
So I was like, if you're not comfortable, I totally understand. We talked about it before, but I talked to the husband and now the wife didn't agree with it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, fine. Move the sign today, and then I get a text from them that says like, Natajia, I am literally taken aback by how open you were to moving that sign. I realized that you paid for it and you have to pay for it again. And yesterday they were telling me like, we'll pay for the new spot and da da. I'm like, it's fine. They own an airline company, and they said, so just to say thank you, we're giving you round trip tickets on our airline. And I'm like, do you want me to move it again?
Yeah.
I'm like, do you even can I move this like it was but saying that to say if I decided to argue with them and like, feel like, oh, Natasha, if this sign isn't here, you're missing out on money, and I need the money so bad that I'm going to fight with them about the signage. I would have missed out on a complimentary round trip ticket to Fort Lauderdale from the Bahamas. This
Mhm.
is like a $900 ticket.
Yeah.
So, so that's kind of how it weaves in. And praying in the morning, like I said, it sets me up for an amazing day. And it also helps to take that I'm trying. I'm not there yet, but I'm really trying to allow that to help me to relinquish control, because a part of the anxiety is feeling like if I don't do this, this is going to fail. If Natasha is not involved, this won't happen. So really believing that, Natasha, just trust God with it. You have one person for your retreat and the retreat is 3 weeks away. Don't panic. Trust God. If he, what hasn't he done for you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What hasn't he done for you? Yeah, and
Well,
he's just as good as he was when he brought you back to the Bahamas right before COVID versus you being in China at like during the height and the beginning of COVID.
yeah.
He's gonna make sure that you're straight, whether you have one person or 10 people at your retreats.
Yeah. I love that. I love, um, the example too with the sign. It's never about a sign, right? Like, and these are your neighbors on the island and you have to work with them. And I love that you're confident enough in yourself that like people are gonna find me. My customers are my customers. It's not worth this. And I often think like to what end, right? Like if it's really, really important, I will, explain why, right? And maybe we can come to a solution. But otherwise, like, okay, fine. It's and now you not only have a round trip ticket, but you've got a good relationship, and that's worth a lot as well. One thing you said about like just trusting in God, and I think people can apply this whether they believe in God or not, or whatever they believe in, is I often think about that, like, what is wrong in this moment? Because I'm catastrophizing in the future, and I'm like, wait, but what's wrong right now? And I'm like, nothing. Nothing is actually wrong right now. And if you just do the work that you've always done, most likely it'll turn out okay. So I love
So
like
true.
you being able to say, like, look, God is in control. I'm doing me. And like you said, you're in your lane and there's no traffic when you're in your lane. So I love that. I think that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Well, I feel like I could talk to you so much. I do. I feel like we were connected in a past life or something. So I will just keep going. But is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about?
I do want to say something to Megan.
Please, I'm ready.
So yeah. So I just want to say that when you are great at being an inspiration because even in this podcast, like you don't know how much you filled my cup, and helped to solidify, like I said, my favorite affirmation. I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be, exactly who I'm supposed to be. 'Cause I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be because like when you say it back to me, like, yeah, because you did all this and this and this, and now you see how this is this. Saying that to myself, but Megan, who I just met an hour ago, being able to see how everything has been lined up is just like, yeah, girl, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I just wanted to say thank you for, and probably unintentionally, being a confirmation for me that this is the path that I should be on. So I appreciate you.
I just got chills. You were so welcome. And if it's not the path, you can blame me. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. No, this has just been such a fun conversation, but we're not done. I have 3 questions for you.
All right.
Um, what advice would you give to your younger self, knowing what you know now? And that could be about anything. What advice would you give to your younger self?
There's so many like I just wish I was there, but like I think the main thing would be stop people pleasing.
Mhm.
That would be the main thing because my younger self is not Natajia that was 10. My younger self is literally college Natajia in her like mid 20s, early 20s actually, early 20s, and just always wanting to be everything for everyone, which made me less true to who I am. Because maybe I want to be a soccer mom for Megan,
Mhm.
like a soccer mom type that has a Stanley Cup for Megan, because I know Megan has 2 kids playing soccer. But then I want to be the club girl for Sherry because
Mhm.
Sherry likes to go out and party.
Mhm.
And I want to be everything for everyone. And it leaves me with it depletes who you are. And it, if you allow it to unravel so far, you're going to not be able to figure it out because as we're aging, we're evolving into who we should be. But if I'm so busy in Megan's lane and then switching over to Sherry's lane. And then, oh, you don't like soccer? I love basketball too.
Right.
Then when you really have to sit with yourself, it's going to be so hard to figure out who you are because you're so many fake versions of so many other people. So I'm phony Megan, phony Sherry, and phony 10 people. So it's really hard to find the real Natasha. So I would definitely tell her to figure out who you are. And if people are not, it's so okay for people to not like you. I just didn't believe that in my 20s. Like, I just felt like if somebody didn't like me, I'm going to hell, like, or I'm living in hell. Like, I wanted everybody to just like me. So I was giving people money. oh, Natasha, I'll pay you back. I would probably be at least a 10,000 there if I got back
Yeah.
everybody because I want to please you. So,
Yep.
yes, like you can borrow this from me. Yes, I'll go out with you. Oh, you left your purse at home for the sixth time in
Right.
5 days? Sure. So Natasha, if you're listening, because there are Natasias out there, I know it. Natasha, if you're listening, people pleasing is not the way to go. The people that are supposed to be in your life are going to not only accept you, they're going to honor you and who you are, not who your version of them is to please them.
Yeah. That's beautiful. I heard something recently, probably on TikTok, that was like, people pleasing keeps the peace, but whose peace? Like it's not yours. And man, that is, I'm actually okay with people not liking me, because not everybody's for everybody. As long as I haven't intentionally harmed you, we're good. And if I intentionally harmed you, like I owe you an apology and amends and whatever, right? Like I can own that. But the people pleasing thing, it can be tough, right? Because you want to. So that's really good advice. And what do you love most about what you're doing?
My team,
Yeah.
guys. If you are an entrepreneur listening to this and you think you have the best team in the world, second best, I have the best partners in the history of human beings that have a job. So that comes with work, right? That comes with us working together. That comes with me being open enough to hear other people's opinions and not thinking that I'm the smartest in the room and everything that I say is right. So to find that you have to work on yourself, but listen, I wake up in the morning excited to see and this is big. I have 13 team members, 13 partners, and I'm excited to see every single person on my team every single day. I would go for a drink with every single person on my team every single day. I want to celebrate their birthdays with them. I want to go on vacations with them. I literally love these people. And I feel like they literally love me too because they do stuff to show me that. Like, we write letters to each other, like the harmony, because you spend most of your time with them. I don't spend this much time with my mom, my dad, my best friend, my lover as
Yep.
I do with them. This is like a sure 40 hours a week.
Yep.
So that, oh my God, I just love. And then you know what it does too? So a guest just checked out. I'm literally listening while I'm in my office. A guest just checked out and it's just like, hey, Dexy. No, it's not like, hi, and this is room, da 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 da. So just knowing that the love that we have for each other helps us to be able to obviously work together and be better partners, but it also creates the experience for the guests. People don't, and then we are boutique property, right? So it's not like we have to remember 20 different people from 20 different rooms. There's like a maximum of 20-ish people here at once. So we know them.
Yeah.
We know who they are, and we laugh together. We talk about how good the cake is today. We talk about them going out in the boat and, running out of gas.
Yeah.
We actually get to know people, and that comes from us. That comes from the way that we treat each other, basically pouring over, so we don't have to pull from an empty cup and fake caring about our guests' experience, because we are full by each other, like buying each other lunch. I just came back here from lunch with the team that was being trained in photography, and like we're having conversations at the table, and two of them are off today,
Uh-huh. Amazing.
and they're here at work having lunch versus saying like, I'm up.
Right.
Come just to the lunch, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I love my partners, like with an L.
That's amazing. You can feel it. And I love that it's amplified out, right? Like that love is taken from the partners and amplified out into the community, whether it's your guests that are
Yes.
coming in or they're taking it back home at night. Like that's a beautiful thing that you've created and that they've created. So
Yeah.
amazing. So how can people find you?
I'm getting more active on LinkedIn now. I would say to find me on like Facebook and Instagram, and you can find me. Will you connect with me? Unlikely. But you can find, if you have a LinkedIn find, it can be on LinkedIn because I haven't been there. I don't know the last time I posted
You're
on
busy.
Instagram. I'll be honest. But I'm trying to build an empire and, being amazing for people in life. I'm trying to change lives here, people.
I love it.
But I am active on LinkedIn. And I am very active on email. I text, like I'm open. So LinkedIn, Natajia Miller. And then if you wanted to check out the resort is embraceresort.com, of course. And yeah, And my email, it's very long because my first name is very long. My email is very long. So I'll ask Megan to give you guys my email. If you ever want to reach out, whether it's about booking a stay or just like chatting, like, because again, I am where I'm supposed to be. I'm who I'm supposed to be. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. And like I said, it's not just about making Benjamin. It's also about pouring into the lives of people. So if you just are like an entrepreneur that's really overwhelmed, I've been there. If you're overworked, I've been there. If you've hit burnout, I've been there. So if you wanted to just send an email that's a venting email, it's like, this is what I'm going through. I haven't seen my kids. I miss all of their practices this whole week. My son is not talking to me because they feel neglected. Like, if the only reason that you're sending that email is to get it out there and you need somebody to just tell you it's okay, shoot me an email. I may not reply in 1 hour because
Right.
hashtag boundaries, but I will reply within a day or two, with whatever wisdom and whatever encouragement I have.
That's amazing. Natajia, you're amazing. Thank you so much. This was such a gift of a conversation. Thank you.
Yeah. Always a pleasure, Megan. Let's be friends.
I was going to say, we'll definitely do this again, maybe over
Yeah.
cocktails.
Yeah, exactly, girl. So thank you very much. Thank you for being the gift that you are. Thank you for sharing who you are and allowing people to share their stories on this podcast. This was great. I
My
appreciate it.